Talk to me.
Why am I about to buy this game?
Okay, so
damn. Guys, for a long time, Overwatch was the game, bro. It was that game where I would hop on hours of fun. Loved it. I couldn't wait to get on the next day and the day after that. And then it started getting to a point where I was like, what the fuck am I doing? What the fuck am I doing? And then shortly after, I was like, this ain't the game. I can't get into it anymore. Like with the role queues, and I was just like, it's not for me anymore. I got deleted. Then I re-downloaded it. Then I deleted it again. Then I re-downloaded it. Then I deleted it again. Then I re-downloaded it and didn't play it. I didn't even bother. I said, what am I doing? Y'all trying to play Rocket League? Like, that's how it went. Overwatch 2. Some more PvP, some PvE. Without Jeff Kaplan, that's a bad omen to me. Jeff Kaplan, I feel like Jeff Kaplan saw something. He was like, yeah, I'm about to head out before everyone get mad at me. But we're going to see some Overwatch 2 stuff. I don't know how much I'm going to watch in this reaction. This is just the first Rome map. That PvP gameplay. I don't know if I'll watch any PvE in this, in the videos I have lined up, but we'll see.
Funny, we got a bunch more questions. I'm sure Cupcake you do as well here, but I mean, first impression is wow. This is an incredible vista.
Beautiful.
thank you.
Wow.
Absolutely stunning stuff. We talked about, you know, Dion, you mentioned like the S shape sort of thing, but it looks like there's some twists and turns here. It's almost like the path overlaps itself as well at some points.
It does. There's a little bit of C shape, and then there's this bridge overpass that's pretty fun to encounter. I think I'm curious to see how this battle plays out once the players get to the overpass.
We'll be starting to
I feel like the two big features on this map, and we'll see it right away, is the first one is right in the under the Coliseum, basically where the WB2 or the bot starts, and that it you know, it kind of like looks sort of simple in basic geometry, but is like the subtlety there is because it's got a slight curve to it the whole time.
Yep.
It's so amazing, and you can see certain of these are blocked off and certain of them are open as far as in between the pillars, and that was actually iterated on quite a bit. I remember opening them up.
Whatever, y'all got to deal with this. I don't know if I'm covering up anything, but
that one section was sort of everyone's favorite right away in playtesting, and then just the massive amount of iteration on it was great.
Right.
So we'll see it here.
This doesn't.
Life trains on Winston's bubble. It does not go unnoticed, by the way. The duration of the bubble remaining being shown on the HUD is huge.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I guess it's not huge. Don't lie.
I love that
It's funny watching.
It's like if you play it enough, you know when his show's about to go
It
down.
actually reduces line of sight, right? So you cannot now just sit at one end of this sort of track and see
It added skill
snipers. So
too,
even
for the
that
timing.
small tweak, you know, has balance implications that I'm sure you've thought about to quite a great degree. I think because me and Cupcake are both support mains, I think something we're definitely gonna be wanting to talk about here is that it's not just Zenyatta's HUD that's
Oh wow, Zenyatta's HUD is cool. I was wondering how much they were going to change from Overwatch 1 to
when it
Overwatch
comes
2.
to the HUD and some of those abilities that interact with teammates.
Yeah.
Oh man, this makes me want to play, but I know it's going to piss me off.
It's so much better, like more in the middle rather than having it on this side.
Oh yeah.
I think that's really nice. I've noticed like the little changes with like having Mercy, like it shows when Mercy's healing somebody a lot more clearly, and I like having the icons of who it's on, you know. I like I wish to see more with Ana. Like I would love to see with Ana having it show like who she slept, like on the UI.
Oh, that's
a cool
interesting.
idea.
Yeah.
Like that would be so cool.
Especially because, you know, I feel like I have to tell my DPS player that's in the enemy backline, I don't know if you saw that, but I just let the fire out of the air and they just
Yeah, that's literally what I was thinking. I was like, oh, I wish someone saw that, but no one like pays attention unless they see the fair body.
There's so much going on. You're like,
then they're like,
I definitely slept someone, but I'm not sure who it was. That might be important to know.
Yeah.
Oh wow, the robot just
Sleep-
starts
sleep
walking
energy,
back
actually,
like
like
that.
Someone just wakes them up because they have no idea.
Oh, I'm assuming it walks
Yeah,
back to the
yeah,
barricade
exactly.
faster.
Oh no.
And obviously, you as a player get indication if Mercy is healing or damage boosting you, right? Obviously, your screen sort of, on live, your screen sort of takes on like a sort of a very slight non-intrusive glow. But it seems here you've also changed how it's indicated to you that Mercy is sort of damage boosting you. Is that also the case with like a nano boost, for example?
This HUD looks sexy. I'm not gonna lie.
Nano boost effect.
I don't think we have yet.
Gotcha.
I don't remember, but in general, there's like great big passive going across. I mean, really across the team. I mean, you can see the skin passes, and those emails get sent out all the time. Like, oh, look at these cool skin changes and tech we're getting. And then there's also VFX updates. Look at the VFX changes we're making and sound, of course. So it's kind of just awesome being like, even if I'm not directly working on that stuff, just sort of seeing that stuff cross my email and the examples being sent out. It's just awesome, like day to day. Seeing all the changes.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure your inbox is sort of swarmed with them. I sort of wonder what the look. It was mentioned at BlizzCon Online as well that sort of the assault game mode sort of there wouldn't be sort of further maps developed for, right? The focus would no longer sort of be on that. So I'd love to know what the sort of thought process is between sort of the removal of assault, or 2CP as it's fondly known, and the addition of push here.
Right, so that has a long history, actually. That's probably most of the people who really follow the game closely are aware. We've obviously the assault map, or 2CP as it's called. A lot of people had a lot of concerns with it, and we've tried to make a lot of changes to it. In fact, what people might not know is we've gone through multiple phases of like a heavy overhaul of it, but none of them ever really were good enough to go even to experimental card, honestly. I always feel bad because one time I had a new designer join, and one of the first things we gave him was like, overhaul 2CP, what do you want to do? And it was like, the hardest problem ever, go ahead and solve it, guy. It was like, oh, that's kind of rough, actually, in retrospect. So, we've got went through a lot of changes, and it got to the point where we were like, we'd have to make so many changes to get this where we want it to be. Like, is it even the same mode anymore? And at that point, if we're getting to that degree, why don't we just make a different mode?
Yeah, let's make new.
Why even try to
Wait.
change it to that degree?
Oh, they're on tactics.
That's kind of how that ended up coming about.
Wait, what's happening?
A lot of it was feedback.
Is it not over? Oh, that was a checkpoint. Okay,
You're trying to say
gotcha.
that there's other modes in development. Are you trying to imply that?
I would say that we are constantly experimenting with new modes.
Oh, so you want to push that shit all the way back? Oh, they're fucked.
New York was.
Sorry, Dion, please.
They're fucked.
Oh, sorry. New York was.
This blue team is getting thrashed
before landing on the mode that we chose.
because they got to kill them all and then have him walk all the way back and push the other barricade.
Right.
That's kind of cool though. I kind of like that though. Why does this make me want to play this trash ass game?
To try to fix 2CP even back when the game first came
Oh,
out.
let me hear what they're saying about 2CP.
It seems like
All I know, this shit kind of look fun.
Right. Temple of Anubis, when we first showed that at BlizzCon, the shipping version actually changed, to try to fix 2CP even back when the game first came out. So we actually, the version we shared and the version that shipped with the game was pretty different from the choke point standpoint to try to address some of the 2CP challenges. So
we just left that.
Okay,
spot
bring it back, blue team.
Yeah.
Bring it back, blue team.
Oh, okay. I was
She
just going to comment
switched
because we
to.
were there, although they just left it. But the other thing I was mentioning about this map, because I mentioned two things, is that area we just left was.
Oh, you got out already?
Like corkscrew, basically. And it's super interesting.
Fucked around with for DPS. I would have went for the tank. Build my ult.
And you can see it coming up here. So you go under, in this case you go to the right, and then back up, and then cross over itself. It is a really interesting point to play. In fact, when we were first playing it, I remember we had our first feedback session where it was like, I don't know if I like this or not. It's either amazing or it's terrible. I can't even tell. Like, it's super interesting and very impactful.
Sums up Overwatch.
So we were like, I think that means we keep going with it, keep playtesting it, and keep iterating. So obviously, having a big impact is almost more important if you can get the good stuff of it.
What you about to do with the Diva Bomb?
after a lot of
Nothing?
iteration,
Oh yeah, save it.
it's definitely
I'd save
perceived
it.
to become kind of
What you gonna
the
kill
most
with that?
interesting spot to play
Nothing.
around because
Look
A
at
lot
you.
of drama there.
You even like
The
really
flanks,
get them
you can
off
flank
you.
from
See, now you
up
fucked.
top to drop
That
down
would have
low,
been a
'cause you have
good
go
time to
under
use your
this
Deco
pass.
Bomb.
And if you just sit in the middle of that pass, as
Let me
Reaper or
stop.
something like that, and just drop down. Of course,
Ah!
you're be jumping up on you or something.
Let me hear what this guy
From
said. I'm
up
over
top to drop down
reminiscing.
below, because you have to go under this pass. And if you just sit in the middle of that pass as Reaper or something like that and just drop down, of course you got to worry about going to be jumping up on you or something. There's actually a little wall on the
Reaper
right
would be
you can
fun
climb
on
right
this.
there, if you're a character that can climb or grapple or something. So it's just like this. When you're going through that after playtesting this map enough and playing enough, when you're going under that pass, it's the most like
I like this game mode.
anxiety-inducing spot. It's just like, especially when it's like calm for a while at first, because like after a fight and you're going, there's no sounds. You're like, okay, what is about to happen here? Where are they going to be coming from? And it's like
There's a
super
sneaky little
stressful.
alleyway in there too. A tiny once you're under
that's
the bridge,
right.
there's an alleyway there. Reaper 76. There's a lot of
So it's
fun
almost like
encounters.
Gibraltar, right? You go through that first little underpass, and you just know it's a little too quiet.
I like this game mode. It allows both people. It's like not a round
I'm loving it.
thing.
It's like, I mean, the verticality difference between sort of playing,
Or at least,
this
like,
initial sort of bend
not
and
you
then
attack and I
outside
defend,
versus
then
huge.
I attack,
Like,
you defend.
You'd have to sort of switch columns almost to try and make the most of it. Cupcake, you
It's like it's dynamic with what position you're in the map, and how far along you got there.
I mean, I think it's absolutely beautiful. I love all the like architecture and everything.
It's
And
constant
I was
movement,
back
constant
when I was
action.
playing The preview during the Blizz Online on it.
This could be
And,
cool.
I would,
This is a good
love to
game
get
mode,
in
I feel
there and,
like.
just go explore it and look around and like figure out like what the best way to go about this
Because my
is,
favorite game
there's
mode
a
was always
lot
like
to
the
it.
payload ones.
It's
So.
it's a little confusing, like looking at it from like this perspective.
This is like a better
but
version.
I'm sure once you get in there and you actually like play it, it makes a lot more sense, you know?
Because it's not you get thrashed on the first round, then it's like, fuck it, like, what's the point of the second round? It's like, it's a constant fight.
Yeah,
One round, let's go.
Game mode that's catered to like giving these like adrenaline.
If this
sort
is
of
one round, I
pumping
don't know.
moments of overtime, right?
That's what I'm saying.
It seems like there's a lot of overtime moments.
It should be.
It's good
Constant
team
action.
for decoration. Like even look up at the top right side, right? Like all these buildings you can go in. There's so many more of these nooks and crannies that you can actually explore.
Yeah, the
It's
map
like
changes
a
from
one
wide
way
open
Exactly.
and then to
Yeah.
claustrophobic almost. And then you have the whole like just straight like lane.
You know, something vibrant like this.
Monte Carlo, talk to me.
Why am I about to buy this game?
Okay, so
Damn!
Monte Carlo, another map where
What are you talking about? What is this?
opulent, the wealthy in the Overwatch
Monte
universe
Carlo.
here to
Let me
play,
get back
you
to
know.
this, bro. I
Flying
might. I don't know if I'll end the
yachts,
reaction there or if I'm gonna keep
luxury
watching
hotels,
gameplay again, bro.
AI.
Overwatch knows how to rope me
There's
in.
another map. We're having a lot of fun just applying this Overwatch aesthetic to the world and this universe in Monte Carlo or Monaco. So, and this also has a nice story connection to the overall story of Overwatch 2. So look out for that as we share more later. But
Yes,
This is gonna be the same game mode.
it's just gorgeous. I mean, and the one thing that strikes me about this map, and I think you guys can obviously speak to it the best, is that each point and area of the map plays so drastically different.
As it should.
once
Good
watching the
design.
play, but is that something that you guys are looking at with map design, of just like how you guys can change like verticality, levels of terrain, really, you know, empower certain heroes or certain roles
You
to
wanna
really
start
kind
this
of take
gameplay?
advantage of that?
We're
Right?
definitely doing that.
Right?
And
It makes
I think
sense!
A lot of the Overwatch.
Finally! Bro,
features
skip all
in
this
them
shit. What is
that
this?
we haven't built
I
before.
don't give a fuck.
Everyone just got to look at Rome, and we have that sort of like switchback section
Right.
in it, or
Right.
like the loop section, and that was something we tried 3 or 4 times over the entire course of Overwatch development, and we're just never able to get it to work right. And on Rome, we feel like we finally cracked the code on something like that. In Monte Carlo, there is this really cool uphill section in the map, and it's
Spoilers.
It's
Spoilers.
even steeper than that. Like, you know, I remember
Spoilers. Oh, he's
for a
talking about
map,
real life.
but this one doesn't have a large
Okay.
structure in the middle of it, so you're going up this really big elevation and it's all open, and so there's a lot more interplay between the two teams as they're trying to push
Makes
up
sense.
the hill.
I love the
Six is still gonna be
spawn
big.
rooms with the cars.
DPS is gonna be huge, ain't it?
It's
On this
so
first
cool.
part.
As yeah, you just kind of see both of these
Killers are gonna
teams
get thrashed if it's
you know,
really
come out of
loud.
the spawn. Just a lot of detail. I love leading into the F1 when you have like the kind of car going around the track. Even the checkpoints is being. You know,
I didn't
kind of
notice
like
this.
Your kind of checkpoint
Hold on.
would be in
Stop,
like a race.
stop, mouse.
As yeah, you see this. So this first point is really interesting. I think for a lot of people is you know, where we'll see Zarya on defense. It's like a solo tank. Like you can play so many different ways, right?
I didn't know it was 5v5. I didn't even notice that.
Close up by like some of these staircases, a little bit further back. You can play the snipers up on the bridge. You can play like soldier up on the bridge. I think just adds so much more dynamics to play.
So
Yeah,
you
definitely.
can see the payload is another. We're having fun with the payload here.
Good
It's
payload. So they
AI-driven
bring payload
F1
back. Makes sense.
car race. So,
And you know, creating the escort maps.
5v5.
how does that
And I literally
differ
read the
from
title of the
some other
early-
things you guys
of
are
the-
working on. You know, like push.
A different gameplay, and I didn't even
hybrids, controls,
register.
like. Is there a different type of philosophy when going into Star like a map, you know, for escort versus some of those other modes?
Yeah, there's a lot of differences between these types of modes, and when you do map design on Overwatch, like one of the things you always have to think about is where the spawn rooms are going to be and how you're going to get out of the spawn rooms. And obviously it's different. Coming out of a spawn room is different on a payload map than any of our other map types because you immediately start interacting with the objective. One of the toughest things about developing payload maps for Overwatch is the entire route needs to be like a certain minimum width just to be able to get the payload to fit through it. And usually you want to have enough space on the sides of it so that you can move around. We do have a few tight sections in our maps, but they're very short. Like right after you get the payload in King's Row, it gets very tight.
Zarya's
but that's
huge. Where's my
for a
nigga
very short
Roadhog?
period of time. And so
Reinhardt?
when you do start making these wider areas, it becomes very difficult to control sight lines, and it gets easy to make very long sight lines through the map where it no longer really feels like an Overwatch map anymore because we really try to control those things. And I think it's why you see that a lot of the payload maps they do weave back and forth a lot, and so much of that is about controlling sight lines and then also presenting like difficult areas.
Is there a roll
for
log
it
to how many you can
Oh, this is the
have?
hilly section.
Yeah, so
Because each has 2 hills, 2 DPS, and 1 tank. But I feel like if it was
there's a
5v5,
sniper perch up here. It's kind of like that.
You would wanna go
right-hand
solo
side
hill.
if we're looking at it, but yeah, just.
I mean, I
this
remember
poses
going
so
solo
many
hill
different
plenty of times
obstacles
when it was
for
6v6.
teams, but I also think it's kind of presents multiple ways to play where. You see,
And
right
I was
now,
the
both
healer,
teams playing
and we
Zarya,
did
but you
fine,
can play really
so
fast and kind of dive up on
I
the
didn't
high
see
ground, like,
anything.
you can play really slow, kind of work your way around.
Unless he was like locked, why would they go 2
Maybe
healers?
This team is just
I don't
actually
know, maybe they
kinda
just want to show
rolling
it
on
off.
through. Zarya seems to be the tank choice of the day.
Yeah.
and you
Like I
can
said, that
see
change is pretty new.
I didn't listen to anything they
Both
said.
teams playing the Zarya, but like you could play really fast and kind of dive up onto the high ground. Like you could play really slow, kind of work your way around. It's this team is just actually kind of just rolling on through. Zarya seems to be the tank choice of the day.
Yeah.
and you
Like I
can
said, that
see
change is pretty new.
you can see from a visual standpoint that when making a payload map, they're pretty large maps for an Overwatch space. So we want the visuals to kind of change as players complete objectives. The world looks different to them. You know, it was flat before, and then you reach the first objective, and now you're on the hill.
So I'm just funny about Ash just walking it by herself.
Final objective. So there's this visual progression to kind of your completing objectives. And you feel like you're making progress through the map because the world around you is somewhat changing as it goes along.
Kind of like Dorado almost. Like
Right.
you
There you
kind of
go.
think of a
There you
map
go.
from a
Hit some
live game
shots.
where you kind of start.
Oh, there you
through
go. Blow that
show,
dynamite up. Good
goes towards
timing.
that high ground, and then you have that like interior, and the interior
How'd you
for
do that?
this map is
I guess to
one
get
of the
people to
cooler
rush in.
things that I've seen in Overwatch, and hopefully we'll get to see it. But just the tiering of it. How did that come about? With when we can go inside, we'll obviously have a better view of it. But it's really kind of like this multi-tiered vertical kind of like casino. It's so interesting.
Yeah, it's a super cool space and really fun to fight through. I think you know, over time, Overwatch map design has changed a little bit, just the way that the game has changed a little bit. The presence
I
or
didn't
the
notice
importance of high
that
ground
reload animation was
really
fast.
can't be understated
Like
in
the
this
orb
game.
in the middle?
And so we're trying to give
Wow.
more of that to
I like
teams,
that.
and trying to create kind of like conflict points in some of these maps, and who's going to control that high ground.
Yeah, no, I think obviously it's
I'm about to
a
touch
shooter,
the eye
right?
again.
They're high ground.
Where are
is
these
the go-to? Where
Where are these new games coming out that all look fire, bro? This shit kind of pissing me off, but at the same time, I gotta grind. I gotta grind them out. I gotta grind.
It allows everybody to kind of have some access of high ground.
Battlefield,
Brings into
Overwatch
play,
2,
I know Ana really kind of
Dying Light
effective here with
2,
the high ground.
Horizon Forbidden West.
As we see the payload kind of go over the line, and the car will go inside of the casino.
I still gotta play Disco
I've seen
Elysium.
a few cars.
I got so many games I still gotta play.
They're usually not moving though. I think.
I'm gonna play Scarlet Nexus.
You know, depending.
Cause I played that Demolition is fire.
But that's just from my point of view.
This is the
What were you saying,
hotel
Dion?
portion of. This is the hotel portion of the casino. The luxury.
Yeah, and you can see the high ground in the back over there. It's actually
Thank God I quit Call of Duty, because I wouldn't have no time for nothing.
One of the things we do in Overwatch is our stairs are very shallow. And we don't
What do you mean by
typically
that?
have any steep ramps in the entire game. And
Okay.
I think the game plays better that way. It feels smoother like that.
Okay, I feel it. I
but
feel
it
that.
makes it so hard. It just kills
Pause.
the level designers on the project trying to get people up to high ground, because it takes a lot of
That makes
space in
sense.
order to do it.
It makes sense.
Oh, yeah, that's actually
I'd
a
be
really
pissed if I
interesting
was on
point
the-
that
if I was on
I've
level
never
design
really
team.
kind of taken a kind of a notice of. Yeah, when you the stairs aren't very like these like long like windy climbs. Like there's kind of turns to get to that elevation. Is that just to keep everything smooth and just kind of move
Exactly what he just said.
Yep.
Yes.
So that's part of it, is to keep it smooth, keep movement predictable.
Exactly what he just said
It's
earlier.
It's also like it can be really like kind of difficult.
I'm so far away from
to
the mic.
overcome
Can y'all hear
a
me?
really steep staircase. It's almost like a wall in front of you, and you don't know what's going to be at the top of it. And
Yeah,
so we
yeah.
always like for players to be
That
able to
happened a
run
lot
through our
on
maps
King's,
and to be able to look at a space and kind of
forgot
develop
the name.
a mental 3D image of
King's
where
Run?
everything's
King's
going,
Dead?
of
No,
what the
that's a-
space is actually
that's a Kendrick
going
Lamar
to be
song.
like outside of their view. And it's easier to do that with shallower stairs. It's also easier to push up a shallower staircase and a higher staircase. And like lastly, just the way that a lot of games character physics work, it's also smoother to move on steep staircases or on shallow staircases.
We know what you mean.
I was gonna say the
You
only really I guess steep staircase I can think of is the one on like Horizon Lunar Colony.
Oh, you gotta hit more shots. You gotta hit more shots. You might as well run away. Might as well go back to healing. You ain't gonna be able to kill him. And now your Pharah died. Now you gotta waste the res. Still 30-second cooldown. Come on, Mercy. We gotta do better than that.
Top of the stairs with Horizon, you can't see where he's shooting you from, and you're just kind of getting pelted on the way up. It's not the best of feelings, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I don't really know what to say about that. Besides, we are moving away from 2CP.
Thank you. What is it?
Yeah, yeah. I don't really know what to say about that. Besides,
Wait.
Pelted on the way up. Horizon, you can't see where he's shooting you from.
Yeah,
You're
Horizon.
just kind of getting pelted on the way up. It's not the best of feelings, you know.
yeah, yeah. I don't really know what to say about that. Besides, we are moving away from 2CP.
I'm buying the game. I'm buying the game. Before it was a question. Moving away from 2CP, that's literally all you had to say, bro. For Overwatch 2? For Overwatch 2, bitch. All you had to say was, we're moving away from 2CP, and I would have bought the game. Now it's 5v5. Crucial. Now each player is going to have a bigger piece, I feel. They might have done something. They might have done something with this design. They might have done something with the Overwatch 2. They might have done something. They might have done something. They might have done something. Don't talk to me.
Okay, keep the combat moving. I love this area. Like you see where that's
Keep the combat moving. I love
top. Like one of the cool things about this map that I definitely saw when watching it was that like the attackers can actually like access that area. Like you can go around wherever you
Everything's
see.
connected up there.
Yeah, curly mustache rotating around. And
It's too many
connected.
games.
That's something we haven't really seen in a lot of Overwatch maps.
Yeah, we try to. We're very intentional with the way we do flanking routes, and we try to make it so that at least one team, like the team, can be aware of people that are coming on a flank, and we usually don't try to let you get all the way around behind the defense without having some way of knowing that it's coming or having the offense earning something like that. And we think this one's fair. We've gone back and forth on this a lot. There's been 30 different variations of this route, but hopefully this one's fair.
Depending on how your game goes, it's fair or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Depending on who else is in the test. I actually have some questions from Twitter that you know some people have been pulling and just kind of just really I think things that people are interested in. For you guys, what change to you know character buff or nerf you guys most looking forward to that you guys have played around implemented with thus far?
Which what? Sorry.
So guys, what change to you know character buff or nerf you guys most looking forward to?
Interesting.
That you guys have played around implemented with thus far.
That's a great question, sir.
Wow, I mean it's a great question.
It is a great question.
You know, to ask.
Give him his props.
Yesterday, but I think now that we've gone over a lot of what we've been working on, there's so many changes to characters all across the board, including all the big changes to the tank role, the hero passives that we're introducing with all the other roles in the game. So, as well as like.
Hold on. All the other heroes? I didn't hear anything he has to say because I had to take a shit real quick. So I'll be right back. I should probably say, hey, we're back. You know, had to take a little poopsie doodle.
Some of the work that we've been doing with like CC abilities in the game. So it's really hard to pick one of those.
My personal one is actually the one that we saw from BlizzCon Wine was the Reinhardt stuff. As somebody who's always wanted to play Reinhardt, who's pretty tragic at it, being able to be a little bit more, this is like selfish, being able to be a little bit more brawly and more offensive is the type of Reinhardt play I want on, you know, when I just charge in without talking to any of my teammates currently. It doesn't work. I'm sure that
now you can do that.
I'm sure that won't work in Overwatch 2 either, but I can at least put it in my mind that it could be a possibility. Yeah.
That's always the promise of Reinhardt in any version of Overwatch that you're playing is that moment.
I like that little meter
shield,
in the middle of the screen instead of at the because it used to be at the bottom, right?
So good.
They're putting a lot of useful things in the middle of the screen or towards the middle.
And you come out and you feed
and before.
You're like, oh, maybe this isn't for me. And then you just land that one shatter, that perfect shatter. And then
this is not.
Yeah, it's such a good ability. Here's another one from Twitter. How do you guys look at maintaining the balance between PvP and PvE? I assume they're kept like completely separate, like different environments. Like, but how do you guys look at that?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question because we talked a lot about that earlier when we started developing, much larger PvE games. You look at a hero like Winston. Winston is super fun in PvP, but a lot of his enjoyment comes from sort of how much you're willing to commit, and there's always like this risk game you're playing, and you're taking space, but are you don't want to be too far ahead of your team or your healers, and how you're committing and everything. But it's hard to translate that to PvE environment, for example.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
So that in our early playtest of PvE, it was sort of like, it feels like he needs more, and then we started getting into like, okay, well, we really need to talk about if we're going to keep these separate, or are we just making changes to the base hero. So a lot of the, like for instance, the current Winston alternate fire he has where he can shoot that blast actually came from PvE first. We were just this is a lot more fun, and like, I wonder if this could apply to the base kit.
I didn't know Winston had a blast.
So we started playing with it in PvP. So in those cases, like if it feels like it works and we're like enjoying playing it, yeah, we'll totally take it. But I think our general philosophy is try to keep them separate, just so we can make
Makes
sure
sense.
that they shine really great in both individual game or all the game modes. Really.
It's gonna be weird though
Yeah,
if
this might
like
be-
they're gonna make the characters play different.
It's kind of fun.
In both.
I did
that's
early
kinda-
on. I just had to make this prototype, but I did a prototype.
I don't know
of
how
like a PvP VE mode, I called it, which was like a hybrid mode. Because I think like I get the expectation that people will probably ask about that pretty quick if we want to do that, and so I was like, let's just try a mode of it. And it was a little dirty because it was like there wasn't a lot of balancing done. It was just like, oh, let's just throw all the crazy PvE stuff in here and see how they work against players. And it was pretty tragic, but it was pretty interesting. And like,
Spin
there's
it up
maybe
and
a
see what
version of that.
happens.
Yeah, exactly. There's maybe a version that we could do that at some point in the future, but we don't have like direct plans for that right now because it was one thing came out of it like this is fun, but like man, this would be a lot of work trying to balance this anywhere close to what it would have to be.
Yeah, we do a lot of experimentation like that, which I think is one of the funnest parts about working on this game. And I know, like, as they were playing Rome, you know, there was a question of like, hey, are we working on, like, do you work on other game modes? And it is something that we do a lot. Actually, the push map or the push game mode came out of a whole different game mode that we were working on, as we were kind of trying to solve how you would put a capture the flag into like a main version of Overwatch, and we weren't really able to do it, but push kind of came out of that. And we are working on one other one that I'm really excited about, and hopefully it's something that we'll be able to talk to our players in the community about later.
I love that.
Yes.
More ways to play is totally fine with me, and I'm sure the rest of the community. It's something that I've actually kind of like found throughout the day, and you know, it's one of the things that's like a little bit newer to the live game. It's like the experimental card, and then some of the things you're able to do there, and try out cool things that look like they've kind of made their way in. I feel like that has been a huge tool for you guys, for really just kind of testing out the April Fool stuff. You know, Jeff, I don't know if I can convince you, but give me the Flying Sigma. I don't know how that works in the tank, but like, give me Flying Sigma so I can just battle Pharos and ignore my team. But a lot of some of that stuff is really interesting that you guys are able to try with the experimental.
Yeah,
This
it's
hill is
so
crazy.
powerful. I mean, I feel like it's sort of a developer's dream in a sense to be like, because you're always just like, I don't know, maybe this is kind of cool. Could we just like show this to people and get their impressions? But,
Yeah.
like, we can't really do that. In fact, we've talked about in the past about expanding, maybe even showing more stuff. But you know, like, what if we showed like crazy early level layouts that was just all like gray box stuff? Like, how early can we show before it gets like really ridiculous? Where we're just like, here's a stick man with a gun. Like, is that just like worth giving feedback on or what? But like. So it's been powerful, and we're still looking at ways to sort of use it, and you know, it's just another great feedback tool you get from the community.
What's so funny, we were talking the other day, and it's like the April Fool's patch was ridiculous, but then when like you saw like some of the communities like, oh, this is kind of cool, and you're just like, wait, now hold on. We get Sigma's cool to fly for a day or two, but like we can't have that all the time, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so we see the blue team kind of approach the final area, and then there was one question actually just about you know, the Overwatch dev team. Like, how has it been? You know, working from home. How large has the team gotten over the last few years? I feel like it's really grown a lot.
The work from home is a bit of a mixed bag, you know. And when we first started, we were really worried about how productive the team would be, because it's never something it's something we haven't really done before. And the team is amazing, and they actually like really rallied, and I feel like we are just as productive as we were before, and in some ways we are more productive about certain things, you know. It's definitely, there's parts of it that are harder, you know, like we don't all have home offices, you know, like I just work in my bedroom, you know. I just have to make sure I make my bed every day before I go on calls. And then the team, it's really grown. We kind of like when we shipped Overwatch 1, when it launched, we were around 60 to 70 people, and the team has continued to grow from there. And I don't think we're at quite 200 yet, but we just keep growing, because the game that we're making now, Overwatch 2, it's a much bigger game than the original one.
It's even a bigger game than, like, even when I started to hear about Overwatch 2, it was like, oh, cool, like, yeah, like, this is gonna, I want another Overwatch. And then, like, just kind of hearing everything that goes involved with it, with, like, the PvE, and, you know, now all these massive changes to PvP, like, the scope of the game is so big.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
But it's really exciting working on something that has that many aspects to it. And the thing that I like about it, and hopefully what we're showing here today, is that we're able to work on something that's new, you know, and it has all these exciting elements while still focusing on what like made the original game great. Like we are like, hey, love or hate 5v5, we are committed to like keeping the PvP of Overwatch as competitive as possible, and we are putting so many resources into it.
Yeah, just pushing the game forward. It's like all the heroes that you love from Overwatch 1 with the learnings from Overwatch 1 just evolutionized, right? You know, pushing the game forward, you know, coming up with new kind of creative ways to play. So this Transcendence phase sealed the deal here.
Yes.
Reaper did his dance on the cart and he was gone.
Man, so that was cool. I like that. Man, it's looking like I'm gonna give Overwatch 2 a shot, man. I wasn't planning on it, but it seems cool. It really does. I don't know if I'll get into it as much as I did in the beginning of Overwatch, but you never know. You never know. I like where their head is. I was worried that Jeff Kaplan was stepping away for other reasons than just retirement, you know, or whatever. But it seems cool. It seems cool or is he retiring? I don't even know. I just know he kind of left. But that was fun. I'm excited. All right, I probably won't react to these other ones, but I'll probably still watch them. Oh man, it looks fun, man. I'll record it. I may or may not keep this in video. We'll see. But if not,